So biblical scholars agree that the conquest of Canaan, as it's described in the book of Joshua, did not happen. It's fictional. If such a conquest had happened, where most of the major cities in the region and a large percentage of the population was annihilated over the course of less than a single generation, this would certainly have left behind archaeological evidence that would be available to us today, and such evidence is simply not available. So we know that it did not happen. There's widespread agreement about from a variety of experts in the field that this did not happen. Well, the question is then, well, why tell this story, right? Why tell this rather horrific story about genocide if it is fictional? And biblical scholars disagree about sort of the best way to characterize the story, the rhetorical agenda of the story. Why tell this story if it is a fictional story? My preferred explanation, which I sort of get from a combination of Christine Hayes and Walter Brueggemann, is to say that the origin of this story actually begins with a need to come up with a better explanation for why the people of Israel went into exile in Babylon. So the conventional explanation in the ancient Near East, if people group A is conquered by people group B, the general theological explanation for that throughout the ancient Near East would be to say that people group B's God is stronger than people group A's God. That's why they lost. It's a contest between the deities, fundamentally. The people of Israel, and in particular the Deuteronomistic historian, whoever sort of put together the books of Deuteronomy through 2 Kings, found this conventional explanation to be intolerable. They could not possibly concede to this explanation, so they had to come up with a different explanation. And the theological explanation they came up with is sort of has two parts. One was a theology of deferred retributive punishment, where eventually the people of Israel are punished. They're rewarded, but also punished for things that happened in earlier generations. And they develop a theology of conditional land occupation, which is very different than how the promises about the land of Israel are originally given to Abraham in Genesis. But they develop this theology of conditional land occupation. You can be in the land of Canaan for a time, but only if you're obedient. You put these two theologies together and you can be in the land of Canaan if you are obedient. But if you disobey, if you engage in these illicit worship practices, then eventually God will kick you out. God will kick you out using another nation to do it. So this is a way of preserving sort of God's justice and power, even though another nation conquered them. So if these theologies are true, how must the people of Israel have gained the land of Canaan to begin with? Well, it must have been the same way. There must have been a native population there originally who was engaging in illicit worship practices, and then God must have brought in some other group, i.e. the Israelites, to displace the native population that was there on account of their disobedience. So it's exactly the same story as Babylon coming in and conquering the people of Israel, just told in reverse. And that's how we get the story of the conquest of Canaan as it's told in Joshua.